Yeah, so yogic direct perception and a little bit about the paths, as we can find also in the book Freedom to Correct Knowing. It talks quite a little bit about the paths, and not too extensively, but it's in between the lines. So it's quite an important aspect that KWJ doesn't really go into much detail, other than just some summaries here and there in the explanation of Four Noble Truths. But the paths themselves, in relation with yogic direct perception, are very essential. And then KWJ had also written other texts on grounds and paths, for example, separately. So let's have a look at this yogic direct perception, how it's been generated, and then how you use that yogic direct perception on the stages of the path to liberation and enlightenment. So yogic direct perception, as we saw already in lesson number 3, is kind of a direct perceiving consciousness that which is generated in dependence upon its own uncommon empowering condition. The meditative concentration, which is a union, as we talked about, not just any concentration. Concentration is a union of calm abiding and special insight. And it is another knower, and not just another knower, another exalted knower. And we talked about the aspect of being exalted in the sense of that it's free of contamination, so to say. Yeah, according to certain schools of Buddhist philosophy, and in particular the consequent school, then the only non-contaminated mind in the continuum of an ordinary being, or a sentient being in general, then that mind is contaminated, because things appear to us as existing from their own side. Even a conceptual realization of emptiness, as we know, is mistaken, right? It's not wrong, because it's in accordance with reality, but it's mistaken from the point of view of the appearance. The meaning generality, or the mental image, appears as the actual object, while it's not. And also the meaning generality interferes with the clarity, so to say. So, especially if you don't have achieved this kind of sophisticated forms of calm abiding and special insight, then the clarity is not there. So with a direct perception, it's even more clarity, because a direct perception doesn't have to depend on a mental image as such. So that means that only a direct perceiving consciousness, realizing emptiness, is the only mind that is non-contaminated. All the forms of mind, according to the consequent school, is basically contaminated. In the mind-only school also we say that all sensory perceptions, although they realize the object, right, they're also mistaken. That although your eye consciousness sees the flower, so with regards to the color and the shape of the flower, there's no mistaken aspect, right? So that has been realized, has been apprehended, and realized. But with regards to the flower existing out there from its own side, separate from consciousness, that's how it appears. Then the mind-only school says that, that the sensory perception in the minds of ordinary beings is mistaken, because of that aspect of external objects that appear, and that aspect of that the object and consciousness appears in a dualistic way. So that's kind of why the yogic direct perceiver is really needed to be generated. One aspect, because it's free of conceptualities, it's free of being mistaken, and it has the power to have the exactly antidote to its ignorance. That's why we have to generate this yogic direct perceiver. So it's an exalted knower, as we saw, in the continuum of a superior being, or a superior being or a noble being. So superior or noble being means a being who has a direct perception of emptiness. That's the person who has a direct perception of emptiness has this yogic direct perceiver in his or her continuum.